Hey friends, this is John Assaraf, and congratulations for taking the time to get from where you are to where you want to be faster and easier than ever before. Now today I'm going to talk to you about something very, very dear and true to my heart, and that is goal achieving and understanding the difference between gathering information, knowing what you should do, knowing what you can do, and actually doing it so that your results improve. Now here's a question for you. Are there goals that you have in your life, whether it's business, whether it's health, whether it's money, whether it's relationships, no matter what, that you just haven't yet achieved? Because if the answer is yes, I want you to pay very close attention, because there's something at the forefront of why you may not be achieving that. Now I think you would agree, information is all around us, but why is it that we could have all of the information, we could actually even have the instructions of what we need to do to achieve a better result or a higher result, and we don't do it? Well, my fascination for the last 30 years has been to answer that question for my own life and my students around the world, including you. And so here's what I would like you to think about. How is it that children grow up to be very similar to their parents or grandparents? How is it that our experiences shape our lives, and once we become conditioned to a certain environment, a certain income, a certain relationship, whatever it is, we usually will stay very, very close to that environment, to the people around us, and to our habitual way of thinking? Is there something going on neurologically or through the latest brain research that can help us understand how to break free from our current results, break free from our conditioned way of thinking and our conditioned way of having perceptions and behaviors that'll allow us, that'll allow you to really get to the level of success that you can achieve, and I'll show you how to achieve? Well, the answer is all based in the latest brain research that'll break free all of your limitations, all of the old paradigms and thoughts that you have about where you're at right now and why you're achieving the results you have right now. It'll even help you understand why you consistently tell yourself stories that keep you stuck. If that's what you'd like to find out about, you're in the right place, because I'm going to share with you some of the latest brain research on why we do the things we do, why we don't do the things we know we should be doing, and how to start thinking, perceiving, and behaving in ways that'll help you achieve your goals faster, easier, and with more fun and happiness than ever before. Okay, so before we really get into the depths of this program, what I want you to focus on is the difference between conscious awareness and awareness of consciousness. And just think for a moment that everything in this universe, everything on planet Earth and everything in our known universe is consciousness, is intelligence. If the universe that we live in is an intelligent universe, which I think pretty much everybody believes that it is, and we also know, based on science, that everything in the universe vibrates and emits a frequency, is it possible that there are millions upon millions and millions of frequencies that we, meaning our brain, can actually tap into? And just like you might change the lens on glasses or binoculars that you can see further, or you could use a microscope to see deeper into nature's brilliance, is it possible that we could learn how to train our brains to see more, to feel more, and to become more aware of what's already here right now? Well, hopefully you've said yes to that answer, because science has proven to us that everything that you and I want, all the tools, all the resources, all of the people that we want or need in order to help us achieve our goals, and I did say achieve our goals versus set our goals, all of that is available to us as soon as we become in alignment with the goals that we want to achieve through our conscious mind, which gives us the ability to choose, and our subconscious mind, which is processing billions of bits of information every second. And more importantly, when we understand how to use our brain better to help us focus more on what we want to achieve, that's the equivalent of taking sunlight and using a magnifying glass, and that allows us to burn paper or a leaf. If we keep focusing that energy, guess what we could do? We can cut through steel. So if we take the same energy of our brain, our mind, and focus it, what we're doing is really utilizing our brain better, but more importantly, we're starting to tap into nature's intelligence. And this isn't some airy-fairy foo-foo stuff. This is real science that we are now proving in the laboratories and through tests around the world, and they are all pointing to one thing. Everything is consciousness, and what we need, you and I, is to raise our level of awareness of this intelligence. And in doing so, we see more, we feel more, and that puts us on the track to actually have more by being more. So we just learned how to use the tools better that we were already given by our Creator. I don't know what you call our Creator. I call it God. What you call it is up to you. But regardless, there is a power within you. There's a power within the entire universe that you and I have the ability to tap into and really become more aware of this intelligence. And then by applying what we learn, you achieve your goals faster and easier than ever before. Now, with that said, let's get you to understand a little bit more about how the brain processes information and how you and I could be in front of something that could help you that you either don't see or you don't pay attention to. You and I could set goals, write them down, really feel like we're going to achieve them, and then nothing happens. How you and I could say that, you know what, I'm going to do this time, I'm committed, I do whatever it takes, and we still don't do it. That's where we're going to get into right now, is understanding how to set goals the right way, how to achieve goals the right way by getting the brain to do what it's supposed to do, and how to break free from the sabotaging thoughts, the sabotaging behaviors, some of the things that one of my friends calls the ANTS, A-N-T-S, the automatic negative thoughts. How do you manage those in your head? How do you set those aside? And how do you really develop a mindset to win? What is the formula for winning the inner game of success while you do what you need to do in order to win the outer game? And I think you'll agree with me, there is two games going on, the inner and the outer, and that's what this is all about. Winning both those games will make it easier for you to achieve your goals. And it's all based around neuroscience. Brain research is all that is. And you're going to become very proficient at training your brain to succeed where you may have not succeeded in the past or where you haven't succeeded as much as you'd like to in the past. Okay, so let's talk about setting goals. And it doesn't matter if you're setting goals for making more money, growing your business, being healthier, having a physique that you're proud of and you're healthy and you have energy, having the relationship of your dreams, or even having a spiritual connection that is deep and profound and that you feel the essence of God, the essence of the intelligence within you, whatever it is that you want, is all around setting goals. Now, what we know is that there's a big difference between setting a goal and achieving a goal. And here's something that I want you to think about and really get, because this is what helps people achieve the life, the business of their dreams. When you set a goal, that's an intellectual exercise using your conscious brain. That is basically your ability to choose what it is that you want. So you might have, your imagination says, I want to go around the world. I want to build $1 million business. I want to find the man or woman of my dreams. Whatever the goal is, one of the parts of the brain called deductive reasoning is what you use to choose the goal. And so when you combine your imagination with your desires, your passions, and your deductive reasoning, you're able to choose a goal. Now, that part of the brain is great for choosing your goal. You could choose to lose some weight. You could choose to make more money. You could choose to have a better relationship. But why is it that you can choose to have all those things or do those things, and you also don't do it? That is the area that you're going to learn today, and when you understand this, it will change your life forever. The part of the brain that's responsible for choosing, the conscious mind, is not the part of the brain that's responsible for taking action most of the time. Now, of course, you could make a decision right now and do something, but if you pay attention to your behaviors over a week or 2 weeks or a month, what you'll notice are patterns of thought. You'll notice patterns of behaviors that are consistently the same. And so here is the key, and here is the real goal that you want to pay attention to. When you have a new goal, a new image, a new idea, that is wonderful and great, and that is what you're supposed to achieve. That is the part of you that is really the you part, the spiritual side of you. Well, here's what you must do starting today. I want you to invest some time to write down every goal that you want specifically. Why specifically? Well, because of two things. Number one, the universe works in a high degree of order. Nature's first law is order. That's number one. If you think about everything in nature, the elliptical orbits of the planets, if you think about everything that's created in our universe, and the truth is, nothing's actually either created or destroyed, everything's just transforming from one energy to another. But where it comes down to basic facts is that when we choose a goal that we focus on intently, we now are using the intelligence within us to combine or coordinate with the intelligence in the universe. Because the question that I always ask is it you choosing the goal that you want to achieve, or is it this intelligent universe impregnating us with the ideas, the seeds of thought, the seeds of accomplishment, the seeds of greatness within you? Is it within you? Or is it the universe impregnating you with that because it knows you are capable of achieving it right now, even though you don't yet know how? So if you think of the seed no differently than we would any other seed that maybe us as humans, we plant in the soil and we take care of the soil, when we talk about you achieving your goals, is it possible that within the goal, within the idea for the goal, also exists the ability to achieve that, the ability to attract everything you need in the physical world to manifest, to create that goal? Well, not only is it possible, but that is really the laws of manifestation, the laws of understanding how we are co-creating with the intelligence in the universe. And that is what we want to talk about today, is how do you retrain your brain to choose clearer goals and to get emotional with those goals, to feel in your heart that you can achieve them even though you may not know how yet. Here's one thing I've learned. The how always comes after the goal. The key is to have your goal precise and clear, and that's what you use your conscious brain or conscious mind for. And then you impress it, you instill it, you install it into the subconscious mind, and that causes 100 trillion of your cells in your body to vibrate at the level of that new goal. We know that every one of those cells emits or sends out a frequency just like a radio station will send out the frequency to a certain song. Think about this for just a minute. If you were listening to music on the radio, whether it's in your car or at home, on the beach, on an airplane, it doesn't matter. If you didn't like what you were hearing on a certain radio station, you would just turn the dial and you'd switch to another station. And if you didn't like what was on that station, you'd turn the dial again and you would listen to another station. Well, yours and my brain has the ability to switch stations, switch frequencies from one station to the next to the next. And the station that yours and my brain listens to or pays attention to is based on what you are conditioned to listen to, pay attention to, and do. So the conscious mind is choosing the radio station. The conscious mind is choosing your goals. But it's not the conscious mind that gets you to do what you should be doing. So let's use the conscious mind properly by setting the goals that you want to achieve. Even though you may not know how to achieve it yet, that's not the job of the conscious mind. That's not the job of the conscious brain. Its job is to choose and to use imagination and to get your willpower to start moving in that direction, to get your persistence to move towards that. That's just to kickstart the process. That's like using a little bit of gunpowder. But what I'm going to teach you is how to have a nuclear effect, the power of nuclear power instead of physical power, using your willpower and persistence. And so when you learn how to use your brain properly by choosing the goals that you want, and you vibrate, you oscillate at the frequency of having already achieved that goal, that's when you become in alignment with how nature behaves. See, nature responds to your feeling, to your emotions. And so it's not enough to just write down a goal. You have to feel it, pretend, act as if you already owned that goal. You already had that goal. You already achieved that goal. Because it's in that feeling, in that intensity, that you increase the vibration that you're sending into the field of intelligence. Think about this. Have you ever walked into a room, not a word has been said, and you know something is wrong, and you say, "What's wrong?" And everybody says, "Oh, nothing." And he says, "No, no, really, what's wrong? I know something's wrong." And people say, "Nothing." Well, guess what? You know something's wrong. How do you know? Well, you know because we have another faculty of mind called intuition. And intuition is what we feel. Our energy, okay, is sending out this frequency, a signal. And we feel energy all the time. We call conscious awareness of feeling or conscious awareness of vibration a feeling. And so we have these faculties of mind based on what's happening around us that we may not see or hear or smell or taste or touch. Those are the physical senses. But we have other senses that we're now learning about that every one of us, you included, has the ability to really tap into and hone. And that is your feeling. So if you want to achieve your goals, write them down clearly. Get emotional with it. Act as if you were a Hollywood actor or actress that really owned the part. So if you want to attract a soulmate, a husband, a wife, a partner, if you want to attract more money for your business or a better job, if you want to get in better shape, okay, physically, mentally, emotionally, you have to act as if first. I want you to get it on the screen of your mind, the conscious, the imagination, the goal, perfectly clear. And then if somebody was to pay you $1 million or $10 million or 10 million euros, all right, to be acting the part, pretend that you owned that part, could you do it? Could you just for a few moments pretend? Because see, when you do that, what you're doing is you're starting to take the image, the goal, the idea, and you're starting to put it into, impress it, get it into the part of the brain called the subconscious mind. And when you start to retrain the subconscious mind, now what you've got is the emotion and the feeling at a subconscious level that's working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help you achieve that goal. And now we're going to get into parts of the brain that you're going to start to tweak and you're going to start to train so that they get you to focus on what you want. Your brain will get you to have the perceptions and the beliefs and the habits that line up with achieving the goals now instead of just setting those goals. All right, so as we get into understanding the brain a little bit better and its role in achieving your goals, I want you to think about something for just a moment. Think about the word systems. What does a system do? What does it mean? Well, usually a system is several different components or pieces working together for a specific output or a specific achievement of a result. Well, guess what? You and I have got 8 systems in our body. We have our nervous system. We have our endocrine system. We have our digestive system. There's 8 systems in total in the American way of looking at the human body, and they say there's 12 in the Chinese way of looking at the body. But regardless of that, there are different systems in the brain that work together to help you achieve your goals, to help you understand all of the information that's coming into your consciousness from the physical world. And we started out by talking about the inner game of success as well as the outer game of success. So think about this for a moment. You and I have thoughts. Those thoughts produce a feeling. That feeling can cause us to take action or not take action. That's a cause and effect relationship. Well, thinking about our goals is not enough. Feeling our goals is not enough. It's in the taking action that we achieve a result in our life. And so let's assume that you agree with me, and I hope you do, because that's the way we achieve our results. And so what causes us to take action towards a goal that we want to achieve? What possibly prevents us from taking action? And what is the deciding factor of whether we achieve goals or just set them? And as I mentioned earlier, what I want to help you do is achieve your goals by understanding how to use your brain better. And so let's think for just a moment. We have 5 physical senses. That was 10, but we have 5 physical senses: hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, and touching. And that gives us the ability to navigate, to understand, and experience the relationship with our physical world. And so as you're watching me right now, so let me give you an example. Right now, as you are watching me, what's really happening? Let's really understand the process a little bit better so that you become a master of setting goals and achieving goals. Right now, my body, okay, is emitting energy, emitting a frequency, and emitting, believe it or not, light energy. That light energy is coming in through the camera that I'm being filmed with right now. You're watching this on the screen of maybe your computer or on your television set or maybe on a big screen. And guess what? That light's coming in through your eyes, and it's going to a part of the brain called the occipital lobe for processing that information. And your brain is deciphering what I'm saying through the sound. It's also deciphering what all this means to your brain. And then you either will act and feel a certain way, or you'll decide that this is irrelevant and you won't act or feel at all. Either way, the information's being assimilated by the different parts of your brain, and you are making a decision right now whether it's relevant or not, whether it's useful or not, whether you like it or not, or like me or not. You're making all those decisions in fractions of a second. The same is true with every one of our senses. If I'm going to touch my shirt or touch my nose, I'm sending a signal to my brain to decipher what that information is. And there are 3 parts of the brain that I want you to be very, very aware of starting today, because these 3 parts of the brain, when you understand how they work together, will help you eliminate the doubts you have, the fears you have, the automatic negative thoughts you have, and more importantly, any of the sabotaging behaviors or the lack of behaviors towards your goals and dreams. These parts of the brain are known as, number 1, the amygdala, number 2, the reticular activation system, and number 3, the psychocybernetic mechanism. Now I know they sound a little crazy, a little far outish, but these three little parts of the brain can be your best friend or can be your biggest nightmare in achieving your goals. What I want you to really remember is not what the names are, but what they do to either help you achieve your goals and specifically what they do to sabotage you from achieving your genius. That is really the key of this entire program. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your brain. I'll try not to get too technical, but I want to give you the tools. Just like you get instructions when you're driving a new car or when you're learning a new sport, you start off with some of the basic fundamentals. I want to give you some of the basic fundamentals so you start using the most sophisticated tool on the planet, your brain, better than you are right now. I've always said that we've got the most amazing tool ever created called our brain, but nobody ever gave us the user's manual. Well, what's happened is in the last 7 to 8 years, because we're able to look into the human brain as somebody is thinking, as somebody is feeling, as somebody is doing activities, and actually see what's happening in the brain, we now have the technology to do that while somebody is behaving in certain ways or not behaving in certain ways. Up until about 8 years ago, we were looking and studying cadavers, basically a brain, pieces of meat for the most part, without anything happening to it, without any consciousness going on. And so what have we found out in the last 8 years or so? Well, what we found out is that there's an old brain and a new brain. And I want you to learn how to use both brilliantly so that you take advantage of billions of years of evolution and all of the genetic genius that's within you right now. And I also want you to take advantage of all the medical advancements so that you can train your brain to see more of what you want to achieve, to have more of what you want to have, and more importantly, for you to become the type of person that can achieve any goals you choose. So the first part is called the amygdala. And just inside the head, obviously, just above the ears, there's a little almond-shaped piece of matter that is responsible for what I call the early emergency or the early warning system in your brain. This is like having a satellite in the earth or above the earth that is paying attention to any little disturbance in the force or the field. And as soon as there's potential or real danger, this part of the brain will send a signal immediately for you to be aware of through the nervous system, which is going to cause you to not feel very good. Why? Well, whenever you send an electrical message or a chemical into the bloodstream, you're going to be uncomfortable. Now, here's the good news. The amygdala is like an emotional response system that'll make you aware of real or potential danger, but it doesn't make the decision as to whether it is real danger or just potential danger or threat. But it's an early warning system to make you aware, just to give you that little jolt to pay attention. That is the first part of the brain. Now, here's what you must understand. These three systems that I'm talking about are all interconnected, and every sensory input does something very specific. So, for example, when you see something, it goes to one part of the brain for processing. When you hear something, it goes to another part of the brain for processing, but not before it goes to a part of the brain called the reticular activation system. So if you were to go in through the eye to the back of the head, just above a place called the cerebellum, okay, which is really the seat of your intelligence, but just above that there's a group of cells called the reticular cells. And every sensory input, whether you're hearing, you're seeing, you're touching, you're tasting, goes to this part of the brain first. And there are 400 billion, with a B, 400 billion little bits of information that are coming into your consciousness, your awareness every second. But you and I are only aware of about 2,000. And so what this part of the brain called the reticular activation system does is it makes a decision where to send the signal to process the information, And here's the thing that's the important part. It will only send to your conscious awareness the signals that are on your highly important list. It acts like a filtering system to only make you aware of things that you really, really, really want to achieve. But here's the bad part. It also makes you aware of everything that you're fearful of, everything you're concerned with, all the negative things that you don't want to have happen in your life that are bothering you, anything that you have doubts about, anything that you're worried about, anything that you're currently fearful about. It makes sure that it finds those things in the environment, in your physical world, and it sends a signal to you to pay attention to that. Now, it does that not to harm you, but it does that because it thinks that you want all of the information, good and bad, right away. And the key to understand is these cells, okay, don't have the ability to choose something that's good or bad, right or wrong. All it's doing is being like a traffic police person that's directing the traffic. And based on what you instruct it to find for you, based on what you want and based on what you don't want, it just sends that signal for you to be aware of. So we have the amygdala, that's the early response, an early emotional response specifically mechanism that gives the signals immediately to the reticular activation system. Then the reticular activation system sends a message to your conscious mind to pay attention to something that's in the environment that is good or challenging, that will move you towards your goal or move you away from your goal. So there are a couple of keys here of what you want to start learning, because all of these also play a part of another part of the brain called the psychocybernetic mechanism. Now, the psychocybernetic mechanism, I know it's a big and long word, but it is no different than the thermostat that is in any car or any room or airplane or boat that you may be on or have been on. All that the psychocybernetic mechanism is looking to do is keep you at your comfort zone. So if you think for just a moment, how does a thermostat work in a room? Well, you set the program for a certain temperature, and then there's a sensor on the thermostat that consistently measures what temperature the room is at. If hot air comes into the room, what happens? Well, a signal is sent through the electrical system to the furnace, and cold air comes up through the ventilation system. If cold air comes into the room, what happens? Well, the exact same thing. The sensor on the thermostat picks up a deviation, a difference between the set program and the temperature that's in the room. It sends a message to the electrical system to the furnace, and the furnace will kick up the heat until the temperature in the room is at the set program. Well, yours and my brain has a psychocybernetic mechanism, and its responsibility is to keep you at your comfort zones. So, whatever income you're currently earning, that's a comfort zone. Whatever relationship you've been in for the last while, whether it's at business, at work, or at home, that's a comfort zone. Whatever home you live in, whatever country you live in, whatever city you live in, everything that we do is based around our comfort zones. Now think about this. Is it possible to be comfortable and miserable? Absolutely. Is it possible to have lots of money and be miserable? Absolutely. And let me give you an example. Have you heard of anybody who has won the lottery and maybe 2 or 3 years later they have no money left? Well, obviously we all have. As a matter of fact, 85 to 90% of the people who win a big lottery lose all the money within 3 years. Why? Because part of what the brain's responsibility is, other than to just keep you alive, is to make sure that your physical world, your comfort zones, match up with your mindset, with what's happening in your life all the time. So if you end up earning a lot of money or you end up winning a lot of money, but the internal comfort zone, the setting, is not matching up with this new environment, we will sabotage all of our success. We'll sabotage having money in our life. We'll sabotage relationships. We'll sabotage everything to make sure that we stay at our comfort zones. So the key is, how do we get these three systems, the amygdala, the reticular activation system, and the psychocybernetic mechanism, to align with a new comfort zone? The new comfort zone being the goals that you want to achieve, the success that you want to have, and the person that you want to be. That's why I started off by saying that there's an inner game and there's an outer game. The outer game, by the way, always will match what the internal map is. And here's something for you to think about. Let's say you're at a theater, or let's say that you're watching a television show on your television. If you don't like what you're watching, you can go and smash the TV set, or you can go and rip up the screen in the theater. But that wouldn't make any sense, because all we're watching is an effect of what's being broadcast either from the reel in the theater, or the DVD that's playing, or what is being sent or served up to our television. If we want to change what we're observing, if we want to change the picture of what we're seeing, we have to change what's happening on the inside that's being projected on the outside. And so the easiest and best way to do this is to, number one, decide what is it that we want to achieve. So what is your goal specifically in the relationship or relations of money? How much do you want to earn a year? And don't get confused right now between setting the goal and achieving the goal. Most people, when they set a goal, they ask themselves the wrong question. And here's the question that most people ask themselves: am I worthy of that goal? And I want you to change the question to this: is that goal that I'm about to go after, that I want to achieve, is that goal worthy of my life? Is that goal worthy of my life? And the reason I say this is because you are trading your life every day for the goals that you have, for the work that you do, for the business that you're building, for the relationships that you're in. Every day you're trading your life for that goal. So don't ask whether you're worthy of it. Ask if it's worthy of you. And then here's what I want you to do next. I want you to write down that goal specifically, perfectly, as if you've already achieved that goal. So you write it out like you would write a script for a TV show or a script for a Hollywood movie. And you put in all the details, every little detail of what is it that you want to achieve? What specifically do you want to achieve? How will you feel? Who else will you touch their lives? Is it charities that you want to support? Is it something that you want to invent? Is it a business that you want to build? Is it a relationship with a significant other that you really want to enjoy? Because as you set the goal, guess what? When you start to feel the excitement of setting that goal and achieving that goal, that starts to set up the brain power required to achieve the goal. And so here's what happens. When you write down the goal and you make it as clear as possible, when you write every little detail about the emotion, the feeling for yourself, for your family, for your friends, for the community, for the environment that you're in when you're achieving that goal, you start to vibrate 100 trillion cells of your body, 100 billion in your brain on that goal. That is like being a radio station or TV station that's sending out that message. I know it might sound a little airy-fairy or out there, but I'm telling you, this is what science is showing us is happening. Yours and my focus causes a response from the field of intelligence that gives you and I life. We're actually causing things to move from what scientists are calling waves of probabilities or energy into a particle, into something we can measure, something we can see, something that we can really pay attention to. And so it starts with the imagination, your thoughts, your ideas. It continues with writing it down and getting clear. and having a vision that you can emotionally get attached to and emotionally feel. And then what we want to do is we want to use several parts of the brain to recalibrate our feeling that we deserve this level of success, no matter what it is. And so how do we do that? Well, every day, what I want you to do is I want you to sit down with each one of the goals that you have for your health, your wealth, your relationships, your career or business, your spiritual connectedness. And I want you to, for 3 minutes or 5 minutes in the morning, another 3 to 5 minutes in the evening before you go to bed, I want you to act as if in your mind, pretend that you've already achieved that goal. Now, here's what I promise you. When you first start to do this, it feels a little weird. It feels a little different. And why is that? Well, any time that there's a deviation, a difference between where you are and where you want to get to, your brain, remember, is going to send a signal saying that's out of your comfort zone. That's part of the amygdala and the reticular activation system and psychocybernetic mechanism just warning you that there's a discrepancy between you being here, and this is your comfort zone, and you wanting to get here. So the system works perfectly every time. Your job, your key, is to be aware of what's happening, feel the doubt, feel the fear, feel the uncertainty, feel uncomfortable, and do it anyway. And that is how you retrain the brain. If you think about, why do athletes visualize their success? Why do singers repeat their songs over and over and over and over again until they get the song perfectly? Why does somebody who's playing chess rehearse and practice over and over until they understand all the moves? It doesn't matter what you're doing in life, repetition is one of the keys to learning, but not any type of repetition. What you must understand is that you want to get the repetition down perfectly. So the reason for writing all your goals down, the reason for having it really, really clear, is so that you can repeat that clear image on the screen of your mind, using your imagination, using your visualization techniques. And sometimes people visualize, but they don't see anything on the screen of their mind, but they feel what it's like to achieve that goal. So for those of you who don't see in color or in black and white when you have an idea or image, okay, that's written down, what you want to do is go to the feeling. What does it feel like to achieve that level of income? What does it feel like to be in the relationship of your dreams? What does it feel like to build the business that's going to help lots and lots of people? What does it feel like to give the money to the charity that'll make a difference in your community and anywhere else around the world that your charity may be providing services to? What you want to understand is, how do you reprogram a new image of success into your brain so that the three systems really start to work together. And when you do that every day for the first 30 days, you start to create these new neural networks, the software that's needed in the brain in order for your perceptions to change, your feelings to change, and more importantly, your behaviors start to change. Now, I'm going to talk with you for just a moment about a computer and the similarities between a computer and you. Okay, so the reason I chose for you to think about a computer is really simple. If you think about a computer, what have you got? You've got the hardware, the box. You've got the operating system, and then you've got the software. So when you've got the right software that the operating system runs, then you've got the hardware which does what it does, you have certain outputs or results. Well, the human body is your hardware, the brain is your operating system, and the software are your beliefs, your habits, and your values. So the software, again, are the beliefs, the habits, and the values that you have. So if you want to change any of your results, you don't want to focus on the hardware. You don't want to focus on the operating system. You want to focus on the software. And so how do we put all of this together now? How do you get all of the systems in your brain to work for you as opposed to against you? Well, it's really simple. As I suggested earlier, you start by writing a goal of exactly what you want to achieve. You add as many details as possible. Perfect details is how the brain works. So what you want to do is have those details, and then what you want to do is you want to create language patterns or words that you can use to get you aligned to believe that you can achieve that. So you use affirmations. You can also use visualization techniques. So what you do is you close your eyes and you pretend that you've already achieved those goals, and you pretend by using a mental movie, just like an actor has to do, to pretend that he or she is the person in the role. When you start to believe that on the inside, that is when everything changes on the outside. So affirmations, visualizations, and you can use meditation as well, or prayers, in order to really feel as if all the success that you're wanting to achieve is being achieved right now. The old saying of "I'll believe it when I see it" is actually wrong. The way that the brain works is when you believe it, that's when you'll see it. So it's not see then believe, it's believe then you will see it. So all of what we've been talking about is how to get the brain to have the beliefs that are in line with the goals you want to achieve. And again, affirmations, visualizations, meditation, and there's technology that you can use to help you get your brain into that frequency, into that believability modality. And then what you do is every day you act as if, you pretend, you do a little inner size, affirmations, visualizations, meditations, around achieving the goals that you want to have and want to achieve. Now, why do we do that? Well, we do that because that's the way that we calibrate the reticular activation system. That's the way that we change the setting on the cybernetic mechanism that's inside our head. So if you want to understand how to do it, repetition is the key. Now, you probably are saying, oh my God, listen to all these terms. PsychoCybernetic mechanism, reticular activation system, amygdala, all of these things. Yeah, if it's new for you, those terms are going to be foreign. But repetition is how you're going to learn. So I don't want you to watch this one time. I want you to watch this 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, 30 times every day until you understand it. But more importantly, every day until you're comfortable with this new information. When you're comfortable with this new information and you apply a little bit today, a little bit tomorrow, a little bit the next day, over the next 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, you're going to start to change from the inside out. And when you change from the inside out, you're not going to just change for a day or 2 or 3 or 4. You're going to change your whole life. You're going to change your perspective. You're going to change who you are. You're going to change your beliefs. You're going to change your habits. And when you change your beliefs and your habits, then you start to do things differently and you start to achieve things that you never thought you could achieve before. If you and I started today to train for a marathon, even if we were not in great shape, if we had the right training by getting the right information in the right order, and every day we took a little bit of forward-moving actions towards being able to run a marathon, even if you're not in shape today, in 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months, depending on where you're starting from, you'd be able to run a marathon in 1 year. And so don't be concerned that there's been a lot of information on this. Don't be concerned that you don't understand it. Don't be concerned that you don't know what to do with it yet. Repetition is what's needed for us to learn, whether it's history, geography, science, or math. We all start at the kindergarten level, and we move our way up one level to the next, to the next, to the next. And repetition is the key for understanding. There are 3 major things we need in order for us to change our lives. Number 1 is knowledge. Number 2 is instruction of what to do with that knowledge. And then number 3 is the environment for us to be able to take action. You now have the knowledge that your brain is absolutely incredible. You have the instruction of what to do with it. Now it's your turn. It's your turn to take action by listening to this as often as possible, by retraining your brain, either through the affirmations and visualizations and meditations and all the supporting material that you can find yourself. Okay? And then number 3, find yourself a partner to do this with. Whether it's one person, a family member, a friend, a group of people, and hold yourself accountable to a certain way of thinking. Hold yourself accountable to a certain behavioral pattern, and hold yourself accountable to figuring out how to achieve the goals that you want to achieve, that you want to trade your life for, and that you feel gives your life purpose and meaning. I hope this has given you a great insight as to how you can achieve your goals, why I believe that you couldn't have the goals unless you also had the ability to achieve it, and then more importantly, how to retrain your brain and how to utilize the information that's coming to your consciousness every minute of every day, as a matter of fact, every second of every day, to help you achieve your goals. I hope you've enjoyed this. This is John Assaraf saying thank you.